whatever.
You're good.
Welcome into the Fools on Stools podcast. My name is Cullen Brown, and as always, I am joined by my co-hosts Anthony Council and Kevin Walker. Today is September 14th, 2022. Hopefully you're all having a wonderful day. We got a lot to talk about in the sports world, everything from the NFL and college football this past weekend to the NFL and college football this next weekend. MLB, we've got Aaron Judge chasing the AL home run record, while Albert Pujols passes Alex Rodriguez for the fourth all-time in the home runs list mark, and the Dodgers become the first team to clinch the postseason. All that, and we are returning with a favorite segment here on the show, the Mixed Bag. We got 3 topics that we're all going to go in for a minute on and just let it all rip. Boys, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. It's kind of a mix of a roller coaster right now. After seeing Alabama take care of business against Texas, and then Dak Prescott gets injured in his first game.
Is that what we're calling it? Taking care of business? They beat them 20-19, bro.
Taking care of business.
Hey, that's what they did.
Don't
That's
get
what
us
they did. I'm just saying. Alabama took care of business against Texas, even though Alabama
I want you to
got
explain
smaller.
to me. I don't know if this is what you want to jump into immediately, but he's come at my throat. Why did they take care of business? How did the number 1 team in the nation take care of business against an unranked Texas team that got nothing but slander going into the week?
Kevin's, taking us that way. We might as well start there. The college football week 2 recap, as obviously college football did start a couple weeks earlier than the NFL season, and no other than the biggest game of the weekend was the University of Alabama going up against Kevin's Texas Longhorns. Alabama ultimately coming away with the victory, 20-19 in Austin. This was definitely a interesting game. Watching it from a neutral fan's bias. While I was working, Bryce Young, 27-39, 213 yards and a touchdown. Quinn Ewers looked like every bit the prospect that he was hyped up to be, a perfect 1,000 rating, the first since Vince Young, former Texas quarterback, before he ultimately got injured in the first half and had to be replaced by Hudson Card. Kevin, I know you've been itching to talk about this, so why don't you go ahead and take us through your thoughts of last week's game?
Well, I just want to first off start saying that the game was amazing. I think it wasn't what I was expecting, and I think that's why it was really good, was because everyone was expecting it to be a blowout. I literally had somebody walk up to me at work and was like, "Hey, pick a number 1 through 100 or something like that." And I said, "Okay." I said it's like 60 something. He's like, "Okay, that's how many points Bama's going to score." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "We can play that game. That's fine." I said it going into the weekend that I just didn't want Texas to lose by more than 10, and if that was the case, I would be very happy and very excited going into the season. And I honestly could have never predicted a score. I could have never predicted a game like Texas Bama had. It had all the ups and downs, literally all the ups and downs, and that's for both sides. It was crazy to watch. It was kind of like one of those moments you're going to remember, even though Texas did not get the win. Say we turn around this season and we do really good this year and we, make top 10, top 6 AP vote or whatever. And it's kind of starts I'm not going to even try to mock myself with the Texas back crap, but maybe it just starts something as far as, because, Arch Manning's coming in and we do have a lot of really good prospects and a lot of really good players. So maybe we could start a little bit of a culture change. I don't know. This game was a lot. It meant a lot to Texas, but I guess it really meant a lot to Bama too, because either they came in way too overhyped or they just weren't ready. I don't really know. I do want to say the massive shout out that I want to give is to Gary Patterson. For those who don't know, you should. Gary Patterson was a longtime head coach at the Texas Christian University, a very good TCU team at that. He led a lot of really good teams. And he decided that he was going to join Texas as the special assistant to the head coach, is what the position is called. I basically view it as a second head coach, and he did an amazing job coordinating that defense along with our defensive coordinator. that defense was immaculate, crazy. I mean, I talked about it going into the weekend, like I said, but the main thing that the Big 12 is scarce on is defense, and Texas has really been struggling on defense the past few years. They looked absolutely incredible this past weekend. Yeah, go ahead, take your shots, Anthony.
No, I mean, I agree. The defense for Texas was insane. I mean, Jalen Ford, 10 total tackles, 6 solos, one sack. I mean, you had 3 players who almost had double digits in total tackles. I mean,
that doesn't even take into consideration the amount of pressure that they were getting on Bryce Young in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, the total sacks they had were 2 sacks, which is still incredible. I mean, Anthony Cook was a monster on the field, and also Jermaine Thompson as well. It really was a wake-up call for Bama. Bama was definitely asleep. Bryce Young couldn't get the ball anywhere. He really does not. This is probably the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is probably the first time that Bryce Young doesn't have a number 1 receiver.
I mean, Alabama, you always have loaded wide receiver cores. I mean, we just have to kind of wait and see which of the recruits kind of come out. I will say that, Alabama's wide receivers, there will be some 1 or 2 taken in the first round, as there always is every year.
Right.
But I don't think, like you're saying, like a blue chip prospect that we already know coming into the season that's like elite. Like, this is a guy that you have to be paying attention to.
Because the cornerbacks were covering all the wide receivers. I mean, he could not get anyone open. This is probably the most I've ever seen him actually run the ball aside from Georgia.
To your point, the leading receiver for Alabama, the one who had the most receptions, was a running back, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Exactly.
9 receptions for 74 yards. So we'll see. Ja'Cory Brooks obviously contributed a lot last year to last year's team. They do have some new players coming in. Cameron Latou, the tight end, is also a really good target for him. But Bryce Young evading that sack late in the fourth quarter on that drive to set up the winning.
There's nothing you can do about that. I mean, that's Heisman worthy.
Yeah, that's the Heisman moment. I'm glad you said that, Kevin, because that ultimately, for me, was the biggest microcosm of the game.
Well, not only that, but I mean, it was towards the end of the game, but it looked like he was going to get sacked. It wasn't that exact play. It looked like he was going to get sacked. He evaded that sack and actually threw a touchdown. It was a perfect dot into the end zone. And that was, I mean, I said it whenever I was watching that, there's nothing you can do about that. There is Heisman, just when people perform and that's Heisman. That's Heisman worthy performance. There's sometimes you just absolutely nothing you can do about it. And I mean, he's already won it. Who's to say he isn't? I mean, I know he's on the lookout for it again, but one thing I really want to highlight is the Bama defense and one player in specific. Now, Tyler did come over, our fellow fool, Tyler did come over to my house to watch this game. Probably was hoping to, trash on my on my hope for the Texas, but it actually turned out to be a good game. And what basically what we were seeing is Will Anderson, who going into this college football season was projected to be probably the number 1 pick overall, absolutely killed him. Not only himself, but the Alabama defense. There was 15 total penalties for Alabama. It is the most penalties under Saban era ever.
That was shocking. Like it was shocking how many penalties they had. Like offsides or just a false start. I'm just
all
like,
of the above.
Guys.
Will Anderson actually came out after the game and said that it was the craziest and loudest atmosphere he's ever played in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that definitely contributed.
Oh yeah, you could hear it.
Yeah, during the broadcast of how crazy the Austin faithful down there for UT was.
We're talking 100,000,
Yeah.
100,000 plus.
They set a attendance record, did they not, for that game? I believe they did, and then Fox also reported that was one of the most viewed games of all time, regular season or postseason
on
for
Fox.
For
college and
football.
NFL.
Right.
Wow. That's amazing.
This was a big game for sure. Will Anderson, listen, I mean, they get at times the Alabama offense, I just don't want to single him out because it was the entire Alabama offense. Their corners especially were getting flagged for stuff that they normally wouldn't have. So Nick Saban's going to really kind of key in on practice. There might be some extra sprints being run on that side, but ultimately
probably already happening now.
Probably.
So the
as
attendance,
we speak.
the attendance record, because I just looked it up, bypassed the previous record by about 2,000.
Okay, so I did see that somewhere.
So we're looking. So over one. Okay, so it was 105,213 fans in Darrell K. Royal Stadium.
There you go. So that's a pretty big accordance. But like I said, the Alabama Crimson Tide did come away with a 20-19 victory over Texas Longhorns. This was definitely a big game for Texas in order to prove themselves. Obviously, they are moving to the SEC here in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think
Or next year.
Quinn Ewers is definitely somebody that Texas fans, such as Kevin, can be very excited about. I mean, that one throw down the right sideline, right, that set him up into that.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but Xavier Worthy, who was a true freshman last year, is absolutely still balling as a sophomore. More eyes are going to fall on him, and by the time he does graduate, he will probably be a first-round receiver. I mean, he is an absolute stud. He's the one who caught that ball before Ewers went out. One thing that's interesting is everybody was trying to speculate what the injury was. Sark has actually come out and said that he hasn't ruled a QB1 for Texas. So maybe Ewers comes back, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't
think so.
I would vote against it. Listen, you got a bright future with Quinn Ewers. I listen, Hudson Card, we'll see kind of, their injuries. I mean, obviously I trust their medical staff, but me personally, I'm making sure those guys, especially Ewers, is more than 100% healthy before he gets back out there. But there are some other games in college football. This was, like a lot of college football weekends that we're going to see this year, it was the weekend of upsets. Texas A&M falling to Appalachian State 17-14. We have Marshall upsetting the Notre Dame Fighting Irish 26-21. BYU upsetting Baylor in the Big 12 26-20. We also had the Kentucky Wildcats, defeating the Florida Gators in Gainesville 26-16. And a bunch of other games, even Tennessee over Pittsburgh in a ranked contest. The Volunteers coming away with a 34-27 victory over the Pittsburgh team squad at home. My question to you guys to kind of wrap up this recap, which one of those upsets that I just previously mentioned was your kind of upset of the week in y'all's opinion? Anthony, we're going to start with you.
App State. Big shout out to North Carolina, North Kakalaki. They put the brakes on A&M. Mm-hmm. I mean, that game, I was watching that game while in the press room. That was insane. Everybody was shocked that that game got to that got that close. I mean, the fact that they almost beat North Carolina last week, the fact that they beat A&M. Look, when Bama plays A&M, I think it's gonna be a great game. Yep. But I just think the drama now has gotten so hyped up now with Bama almost losing to Texas, Appalachian State beating A&M. Yeah, this is gonna be a big one.
Yeah, A&M coming in with the number 1 recruiting class this past offseason.
Yep.
Appalachian State, to your point, Anthony, one of the first, and I've been watching college football, I know Kevin will say, since the sport was invented, basically.
The start.
But one of the earlier memories I've had of an upset was Appalachian State over Michigan back in the day, for those who remember.
Yeah.
So it's always great that they kind of still play the underdog role here in the college football scene, and they were able to get the job done versus Texas A&M. So great call on that one.
So if anybody who listens does follow my Twitter, then you did see me tweet. Texas holding with Alabama was one of my favorite parts of the weekend. But if you're a Texas fan, like a true Texas fan, your true favorite part of the weekend was watching the Aggies lose. Because all they did was brag about being number 1 in the recruiting class. I think Texas was like 2 or 3 or something like that. And
can I ask you about that? Because I did see that tweet, and I wanted to address this with you.
I saw it too.
So hold on. So you said Texas lost to Alabama close, and A&M lost to Appalachian State, that this is a great day for Texas.
Yes.
Did you need to include the fact that Texas lost in your tweet to signify that you were happy about this weekend? Because the way you made it sound like you were like bragging about, well, our loss was better than your loss.
Right.
Therefore, it's a better weekend for Texas.
Well, I mean,
again, I understand that they did lose, but you could have said it in a way that like A&M lost.
According to bragging rights, our loss was better than their loss.
Lord.
An L
on paper,
in my book. I don't know.
Paper,
I
I
don't know
understand.
about that.
On paper, I understand, but I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess I was just really hyped up on college football. I
you were a happy camper.
Was that your upset of the week, or did you have one that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that one as my upset of the week, just because Texas A&M did put up a fight with Bama last year and did beat them. So it is kind of interesting to see that they lost to Appalachian State. I mean, looking at this Texas A&M stat score, quarterback Haynes King. 13-20, didn't even pass for 100 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rushing, they had 2 rushing players. One of them was their quarterback. their actual running back only had 66 yards on 10 carries. Their quarterback had 8 carries for 23 yards. They didn't have a receiver over 50. It's interesting because we're just gonna kind of have to see how. We're gonna have to. I mean, this past weekend in college football was absolutely insane. It was a lot for me to.
Yeah. One last one that I want to
Take in.
highlight for my upset, because I know you both went with the A&M Appalachian State matchup. We are Marshall defeating the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
That's
Notre Dame falls to 0-2 under head coach Marcus Freeman.
That was a big one.
Yeah, listen, I mean,
I almost
for
forgot
those of
about
you
that
who have
one.
not seen that movie, We Are Marshall, definitely go check it out. I am
Good
not even
movie.
a movie connoisseur, and I've seen that movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, this was great for Marshall. Notre Dame, they got some stuff they need to figure out on the offense side of the ball. Their quarterback had 2 interceptions, only 200 yards passing. Their defense looks great. I mean, that's what Marcus Freeman's specialty was, but he's got to find some offensive flow here, getting into the heart of their schedule. But yeah, that's going to be the upset of the week for me. But moving on now.
Well, I was gonna say, I know we're on a, we're trying to rush through this, but
yeah,
are you worried about Notre Dame going forward? Or do you think that they're gonna be able to turn it around?
I mean, look, Notre Dame's still one of the heavily recruited places all the year. For me, Notre Dame is always one of the more overhyped teams in college football because of their history. And I feel as though, this year people were saying, oh, with Marcus Freeman, we're going back to the college football playoff. We'll be straight. And now that they've fallen down 0-2, their hopes have all been confirmed eliminated.
Yeah, and you don't want him to end up like the Nebraska head coach who just got fired.
Right, Scott Frost. So,
just saying.
Yeah, speaking of Scott Frost and Nebraska, they take on Oklahoma.
Oh, boy.
This weekend.
Good game.
On Fox, it's the 11 a.m. kickoff game for the Cornhuskers. As Anthony mentioned, they just fired their head coach, Scott Frost, after an 0-2 start for the Cornhuskers. We've also got some other good games on the schedule. BYU goes to Oregon to take on the Ducks on 2:30 on Fox. We've also got Penn State and Auburn. That should be a really underrated matchup. Auburn's a really competitive SEC team every year, and Penn State, we always know what they're about. And then later that night, on Saturday night, Michigan State does take on Washington on ABC. The Washington Huskies will see how they look against a formidable Michigan State squad. And, of course, the game of the week, the Miami Hurricanes take on the aforementioned Texas A&M Aggies, who are ranked 24th in College Station, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Boys, what is your main thoughts going into week 3, of the college football season? We'll start with Kevin this time.
So another matchup. It's not a ranked matchup, but I think it's an interesting matchup. Is LSU and Mississippi State. LSU is kind of on the struggle bus right now. Brian Kelly is trying to, I guess, regain the hope of LSU fans. So they're going to be playing at home against Mississippi State. So maybe that could be a turnaround game for LSU. But it's just going to be another weekend trying to figure out what these teams are really worth and what they're really like. We're still trying to figure out the AP poll. Aforementioned Notre Dame literally fell out of the top 25. And maybe they could climb their way back, but a lot of these teams, even Kentucky's kind of a sneaky one because Kentucky ranked at number 9. That's I guess that's not all that much normal when it comes to college football.
Yeah, they're known the
maybe in
school.
basketball, but
right.
not so much in college football. But it's just gonna be another weekend of watching schools try to take on each other, see what each school is worth, and how they're gonna hold up. I think Houston and Kansas could be another good one because Kansas has, dare I say, looked good. But Houston had a really close game against Texas Tech. And I know Texas Tech isn't all that, in a bag of chips, as Anthony would say, but I think that could be a really good matchup as well.
Anthony, what are you thinking?
Honestly, you said Miami, the University of Miami. I don't think Miami's really scared of A&M.
No.
I think after the Appalachian State win against A&M, we know how the big U, they like to say, how they like to play. They play hard-nosed, they play gritty, and they play physical. And I just think that Miami could run the tables on A&M this game. I think it's going to be very exciting. I think it's going to be very physical. But I wouldn't be surprised if A&M tried to bounce back, kind of like how Utah did this past Saturday, racking up 73 points after they took their loss, I forget against who, week 1, which was really kind of a shocker of a game going into week 1 for Utah because they were ranked number 7.
They lost to Florida and Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. And they were ranked number 7. Now they're unranked, and kind of like how they did when they bounced back, getting 73 points on the board this past week. I think A&M could do that, but also Miami's just been physical this season, and I just don't think they're afraid of A&M.
Yeah, to your point, I think Mario Cristobal, first-year head coach, he came over from Oregon.
Yep.
This could be a chance for Miami to step up as that big ACC challenger to Clemson.
Yep.
We'll see how they look in College Station that night. To me, though, this is one that I didn't even highlight in my own opening little salvo there. USC, head coach Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams.
Good.
They're looking really good. They play at 9:30 against Fresno State. This is Central Time, obviously being recorded in Texas. USC looks legit, man. Like we were sitting there, we were talking about the Pac-12 in our kind of opening to the college football season. We talked about Utah. We talked about Oregon. USC, we kind of mentioned, and I had mentioned as Lincoln Riley I had the most faith in whenever we were talking about new head coaches and everything. He's hitting the ground running. Him and Caleb Williams have got that USC offense flowing. They're coming off a huge win last week against Stanford, 41-28, and I expect more of the same here from the Trojans. We'll really get to see what they're about whenever they take on the likes of Utah, the likes of Cal, Arizona, and when they get into the deep heart of that Pac-12 schedule. But they kicked off their conference play last week against Stanford. They looked really good. Caleb Williams is legit. He's not eligible for the draft this upcoming season. He will be for this next upcoming season.
Yeah. But
last game, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's the real deal, and so is Lincoln Riley and the Trojans.
Yeah, I think one last thing before we head out, unless Anthony has something to say, is I'm actually really excited to see what team's going to come out of the Pac-12. I know we kind of in the off season of college football have kind of said Pac-12 is struggling. Pac-12 could be one of those conferences that essentially breaks down and joins another. Maybe the Big 12, whatever. That's a different discussion for a different day. But the Pac-12 is interesting because you do have schools like Oregon and USC that could come out of it, but you just don't know how they're gonna fare against other schools. So it is interesting, and we're gonna see how USC is able to respond, and Oregon as well. So
absolutely, Anthony, you got anything to add to that?
Nope. I think he put the icing on the cake.
Yep. So we talked about Saturday. We need to talk about Sunday football as well.
Boy.
But first, I'm going to just run through quickly the week 1 games for the NFL season, and I'm going to get y'all's thoughts here in a second. At first, on Thursday, we had the Buffalo Bills, the preseason Super Bowl favorites, dismantle the Los Angeles Rams 31-10. Josh Allen looked every bit of the quarterback he looked against Kansas City.
I feel stupid that I took the Rams. I don't know why. I thought I guess you just get scared with the media frenzy, like all leaning on one team. You're like, oh, but if they lean on the one team, then that's the one team that's gonna. No, the Buffalo Bills did not sell. Josh Allen was every bit of Timothy that he wanted to be. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, whatever. I mean, that entire team, every player on that team is absolutely just. I mean, that team's loaded.
Yeah, apparently Andrew Whitworth is like the lone MVP that we didn't talk about for the Los Angeles Rams. The Jeff Noteboom could not block the aforementioned Von Miller all night that night.
This is Josh Allen's revenge year, okay? Because everyone was talking about how, he lost to Patrick Mahomes and all that stuff. Yeah, he has that game circled up. He's not worried about the regular season. He's looking for a Super Bowl win.
It definitely,
And right now, this is the best time for the Bills to make it all the way.
And it looks like they took the entire offseason frustration, just took it out on the Los Angeles
And you can
Rams.
tell that they don't, even though this media frenzy is going on, Bills ranked 1, Bills ranked 1, Bills ranked 1.
Right.
They don't think that way.
Yeah,
they still view themselves as the underdogs in every scenario.
And the fact that you didn't have them winning the whole thing.
No, I got them in the AFC Championship game, which we will talk about my Super Bowl champion in a minute, because they are not only did they play this weekend and win, but they also play this Thursday night.
One thing just before we leave the Bills topic, I want to ask y'all a question, and I doubt y'all could get it. There has been a lot of Super Bowls won with a lot of teams, with a lot of players. And there's been a lot of players who've gone to 2 different teams and won 2 different Super Bowls. Do y'all want to take a guess on how many players in NFL history have won a Super Bowl with 3 separate teams? Not 3 separate years on the same team, 3 different organizations.
Well, the NFL is harder than the NBA because the NFL has 11 players on offense, 11 players on defense. You also have to factor in kickers, punters, special teamers, and stuff like that. I'm assuming the number's not high because winning 3 Super Bowls in general is hard. winning it with 3 separate franchises is hard. Is it in the single digits? Can you give us that much?
It is the single digits.
It is single digits. I'm gonna just say lucky number 7.
I'm gonna go with 3.
Okay.
1.
Okay. So there you go.
One player in NFL history has won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different teams. His name is Matt Millen. He was he was a former linebacker on the 49ers when they won in '89. And then he won 2 Super Bowls with them. He won with the Raiders in '80 and '83. And then he won with Washington in '91.
Well, it might be 2.
Now I say this because
Von Miller.
Exactly.
Von Miller has a very good opportunity to join him on that list.
Well, we'll see if the Bills are able to get it done. Moving on to Sunday now, as that was the Thursday night game, the opening game of the NFL season. Baltimore Ravens dismantled the New York Jets, and Joe Flacco's return against his former team. Lamar Jackson threw 3 touchdowns, looked very much like the player from his MVP campaign. We'll see if he's able to carry that momentum throughout the season. Any thoughts on that one?
No, not really.
Yeah.
It was Lamar being Lamar and
We'll just
proving everybody wrong, just
Fair.
trying to get his money.
Yeah, that's it. Betting
Fair.
on himself.
Shout out Devin Duvernay.
Yep, fair enough. Moving on, we got the New Orleans Saints coming back against the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons and blowing leads. Name a better duo. Michael Thomas looked every bit of healthy. He held in 5 of 8 targets for 57 yards and 2 scores in his first game back from injury.
And I don't think he did anything in the first half either. Nothing significant. So he went off like that.
I think he had one of his touchdowns, I thought, in the first half. Maybe he did. But
all I want to say is Who Dat Nation destroyed Mercedes-Benz. Like they were
popping.
The amount of Who Dat Nation that was in there. I was looking at my homeboy's story, and he's a Saints fan.
Right.
They took over that entire area. I was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's the same story, different day with Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. They're going to be tied at the hip till their careers are over. I mean,
and now they're playing in the same division.
Yeah, exactly. So
there you go. Miami Dolphins took care of the New England Patriots 20-7. Tua survives another week. He did enough to get the Miami Dolphins past their interdivision rival. Mac Jones and the Patriots offense, they were
what
not
you
good.
mean survives another week?
Yeah.
Well, did you see that first pass that he had of the NFL season?
Okay, I get it.
He threw it from me to the door.
Okay.
When the receiver was 10 yards further downfield.
He ended 23 of 33, 270 yards and a touchdown. He passed a lot to his wide receivers, but they're a run-heavy offense.
They are, and Chase Edmonds, running back that came over, definitely held the load. They're going to do a running back by committee. My point is if you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have Cedric Wilson who came over from the Cowboys, you have those running backs that the Miami does. I think they have like 3 legit running backs. They have a legit trio there.
Yeah.
An offensive line that just acquired Teron Armstead, the biggest free agency tackle in the NFL. Tua, man, you got to do your part because everyone's looking to you with Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow in your same draft class thinking, hey, are you at that level? Are you that guy? Because if not, Mike McDaniel's showing like, hey, this offense is going to run with or without you. And Teddy Bridgewater backing you up, all I'm saying is Tua, you're on the clock each and every week.
Yeah, but he knows that.
Yeah, you know.
I think it'll be fine, honestly. I mean, with Waddle and Tyreek Hill, two of the best wide receivers on the same team.
Right.
I mean, it really doesn't get better than that.
Fair enough. All right, moving on to a game that I think most people predicted incorrectly. The Cleveland Browns upsetting the Carolina Panthers. Baker Mayfield's revenge game did not go as planned. The Panthers quarterback did not look good. 2 turnover-worthy plays and only 1 big-time throw. Myles Garrett was in the backfield consistently. I mean, rookie left tackle Ikem Ekwonu did not enjoy his NFL debut. I mean, obviously going up against one of the better pass rushers, what do you expect?
Yeah.
And Jacoby Brissett and the Cleveland Browns do come away with the win in Carolina.
That was a big kick, too. I mean,
It
that
was.
guy's a rookie. Cade York. What was
Yep.
that, a 54-yard field goal to win?
I believe you're right, yep.
Where's he from? Where do you go to school?
Katie, I mean, some small name school, but I mean, you find these kickers
That's so
from
true.
wherever,
You
know.
really do.
So I mean, it was a big kick. It was a big time play by the Cleveland Browns. LSU. So well, you know, little
Yeah.
big time school.
Yeah, little big time.
A little big time.
You know,
school. little
something,
big
something.
time. Well, I mean, compared to what they were, I mean, they're not so much big time as what they used to be. But
They're getting there. They're getting there. But I mean, you know, Baker Mayfield throwing 16 of 27, 235 yards.
he didn't have a great game.
He really didn't. But
No.
I mean, it's okay.
It is what it is.
You know
But-
who else didn't have a great game?
Dak Prescott.
Joe Burrow. Well,
Well,
you know,
I was getting to that. The
I'm
Pittsburgh
saying.
Steelers did defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20.
Sorry, whoever had Joe Burrow on your
Yeah,
fantasy,
Joe
but
Burrow, 5
That's
turnovers
tough.
on the day, 4 interceptions. One of them being returned for a pick six by Minka Fitzpatrick.
That
Wasn't
was
that like the
amazing.
first play of the game or
Yeah.
first few plays
Yeah.
of the game?
First offensive series or first offensive play for the Cincinnati Bengals.
It
Minka
reminded me of
Fitzpatrick.
it reminded me of the Titans in the playoffs when they were just sacking Joe Burrow over and over again.
Yeah, and,
Minka Fitzpatrick was all over the field.
yeah, and it's amazing the fact that Steelers defense is consistently as good as it is. TJ Watt, we hope for a speedy recovery for you. He also came away with a torn pec. There was no tendon damage. It is a torn pec, so he will be out probably more than likely like 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
And
Jeez.
it's just gutting for the former defensive player of the year.
Man, that
We wish
sucks.
you a speedy recovery. We move on now to the monsoon that was in Chicago. San Francisco ultimately falling to the Chicago Bears 19-10. Justin Fields outperforming Trey Lance. Trey Lance didn't even have 50% completion percentage.
Shocking.
It was an interesting game. The Bears, though, apparently aren't built for bad weather, as they were able to slide their way in for a victory, as you
Nice.
saw on social media.
That was
Yep.
a good
That was
picture
good.
too.
That
Whoever
was
was in
good.
charge of those cameras did a really good job. Those are some damn good pictures.
Yeah, and I think this was definitely the kind of win that Chicago needed to start off their season, to say the least. Any thoughts on that one?
I mean, Justin Fields was basically just like last year, holding that team up with his one hand the entire way through. It was good to see that they did actually start working as a team towards the end to get the win. But I mean,
Right.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with both of those quarterbacks and both of those teams.
I just want to ask, do you think that this will be the time, that this will be the opportunity of the Bears to actually beat Green Bay?
Well,
Especially after what
If
we
it's
saw.
like a monsoon, maybe. If it's
mean,
another rainy
saying-
game like that again.
I mean, let's
don't
go.
know.
Let's go ahead and talk about it. The Packers lost to the Vikings 7-23. Justin Jefferson. I mean,
Yeah.
if you go in the
Jeez,
dictionary,
man.
Webster's dictionary, and you look up the term "going off," Justin Jefferson's name right next to it.
Harrison Smith brought down an interception late in the game for Aaron Rodgers. He had no touchdown passes, 1 interception, didn't even have 200 yards passing. Christian Watson, the rookie receiver, dropped a wide open touchdown early in the
Wide
game.
open.
Did
Come
not-
on, man.
Did not see a target the rest of the game. Aaron Rodgers, in his quest to find his new favorite target, we'll see if Alan Lazard, when he returns next week, if he's the man. But yeah, it was
Justin Jefferson, 9 receptions, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns.
big time.
This is the second time you've heard of Aaron Rodgers speaking about like just the mistakes that these wideouts have had. I mean, they're young kids, whatever, but like they're professionals, guys. Like you should not be dropping wide open passes. Like if you're not in the
Yeah.
in the gym working on your stuff or on the field, like what are you doing? Because Aaron Rodgers really has nothing.
Right.
Well, the problem is that he has a bunch of wide receiver 3s on one team, and there's no true wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if Alan Lazard can step up. He is the most experienced wide receiver on the Packers roster, at least with Aaron, that he has on there. But moving on, the Philadelphia Eagles took down the Detroit Lions 38-35 in the highest scoring matchup of the weekend. Jalen Hurts
That
looked
game was crazy.
Jalen Hurts looked every bit like the quarterback that the Eagles had hoped he'd be. DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams definitely held it down for Detroit's offense. Darius Slay was targeted a lot. He did only allow 3 catches for 55 yards. Just wanted to note that. Darius Slay being the big defensive signing over from Philadelphia Eagles, it was kind of a revenge game for him there. But yeah, A.J. Brown definitely looks like the big pickup that the Eagles were hoping for, and ultimately the Eagles were able to come away with the win.
What do we think about the Lions in this one though? I
The
mean,
Lions look good.
That's what I'm saying.
because at one point it was like 28 to like 14 or something. It was a
Yeah, they were
fairly
down-
over game.
They were down 2 scores. At one
And then you turn on midway fourth quarter, it's 38-34. It's like 38-35 or something like that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
interesting.
literally.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then we go from arguably the most exciting game of the weekend. Yeah, that's what I thought too, Siri. Indianapolis Colts and Houston
timing.
Texans end in a tie. The Colts doing their streak of losing week 1 matchups, but they came away with a tie, so they still haven't won one
Ain't that the
in
truth?
like 9
As
seasons.
Pat McAfee claims, undefeated.
Undefeated. There you go. They
Right.
are, along with the Texans, the top of the AFC South. Jonathan Taylor looked like Jonathan Taylor. Matt Ryan did show his age a little bit. They did start to run the ball more in the second half, so hopefully we could see more of that. I will say, Davis Mills didn't look too bad for Houston, so
No.
got to give credit where credit's due there, but I just don't think Houston's going to be in a place to contend this year. We'll obviously wait and see. The former Colts quarterback, Carson Wentz, did lead the Washington Commanders over the Jacksonville Jaguars 28-22. Trevor Lawrence looking already significantly better, post-Urban Meyer era.
I'll say he's on
Yeah,
my
he
fantasy
is.
team.
Christian Kirk, 6 catches for 117 yards. Definitely the number 1 wide receiver over there in Jacksonville. But I was very impressed for Carson Wentz. Also, too, just wanted to point out, Washington Commanders, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, and Deron Payne wreaked havoc, combined for 15 pressures and 3 sacks between the 3 of them.
It's impressive.
The Ron Rivera's got that defensive line moving. Moving on to the man that, well, let's just put it this way. He's still great. Doesn't matter if he has Tyreek Hill or not. Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs,
5 TDs.
44-21 over the Arizona Cardinals. The former MVP, to Anthony's point, 360 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions.
It makes you forget that Kyler was actually paid to play football.
And did Call of Duty drop an update or something?
Dude, it looks really ugly really fast.
Yeah, it was.
The Chiefs were the Chiefs. They scored a touchdown on their first 3 drives of the game. That's Chiefs. That's just what they do.
Jeez.
I mean, everybody's talking about the Bills. Everybody's talking about the Rams. They're talking about how loaded the AFC is, but no one's talking about the Chiefs.
Yep.
And they know that.
I think
Mahomes has heard the chatter.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I think they were the second best team behind Buffalo through this week 1. I think they were the second best looking team through the weekend. Obviously, Kyler Murray, didn't look the best, but I think Cliff Kingsbury, you're on the hot seat after this one, man.
Oh wow, Kyler Murray's still on the Cardinals. Wow.
Look, this is what's funny.
Okay.
I think any coach that wasn't able to have significant amount of success in college and your quarterback is Patrick freaking Mahomes is on the hot seat automatically.
Yeah,
absolutely. Of course. Well, moving on to the next game. Stay in the AFC West, though, with 2 AFC West teams. The Los Angeles Chargers, my Super Bowl pick, did come away with the win against the Las Vegas Raiders, 24-19. Justin Herbert still looked amazing.
That was a good game.
Khalil Mack wreaking havoc in his debut for the Chargers.
Scary.
3 sacks. Derek Carr ultimately throwing 3 interceptions. You got to be able to clean that up if you're going to compete in the toughest division in football.
Yeah, I mean, but like you did highlight that Chargers defense is nasty in all ways, shapes, and form. I'm not going to say it gives Derek Carr an excuse. He does need to clean it up, but he did pass for 295 yards. Devontae Adams, he's
Huge.
open as always.
Yeah.
That nasty route running is still there. Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, all his receivers, all his guys, all his stars, they're all open. They're all doing business. I think that they just kind of got outplayed in this Chargers matchup, but the Chargers looked good. Justin Herbert was throwing dots all over the field, and I mean,
yeah,
I think Justin Herbert remembered that game when there was in an OT or a tie or something.
Yeah,
in the playoffs or going into the playoffs.
He wanted a tie and he ultimately didn't get it.
Yeah, which against the Raiders, and it's like, yeah, I remember what y'all did.
Yeah, he
y'all
remembered that
kicked
one.
me out. I'm gonna kill y'all with my passing game, and that's what happened.
We'll see. Yeah, and then moving on to the next matchup, the New York Giants upsetting the Tennessee Titans 21-20 in Tennessee.
The Giants won?
Literally.
Saquon Barkley.
Gosh.
Literally.
Saquon Barkley is back.
Saquads is absolutely back, 100%. I don't know if it was ever recorded, but I was hoping for a Saquon Barkley return. For those who don't remember, when Saquon Barkley first got in the league, he was absolutely electric for the Giants. Like, actually made the Giants look good. People were tuning in to watch them play football. I mean, he was absolutely ridiculous. Had all these injury issues, had some problems with the organization. He's back, did amazing. Giants won against the Texans, but rest in peace to literally all my fantasy teams that have Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
we need to get that turned around.
Oh my! I don't think I've ever seen anyone hit Derrick Henry that hard.
I saw that. I'm glad you brought that up.
I was like, whoa, he flew.
I didn't know Derrick Henry could get depleted.
Me too.
Yeah,
but moving on. You're a little upset on that one.
I was kind of bummed. I was like, dude,
a little bummed out. Moving on though to the final game on Sunday between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys. The Bucs ultimately coming away with the win, 19-3. The big story from this one is obviously quarterback Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys, injuring his throwing hand thumb. He's going to be out multiple weeks. They did not put him on IR. We'll wait and see kind of where his timeline's looking like. I will say Russell Wilson last year had a similar injury to this. Rushed it back, did not look the same. So hopefully Dallas will do the best for Dak Prescott, their franchise quarterback. Brady, I mean, he looked phenomenal. They did start the game with like 4 field goals until he ultimately got that touchdown pass to Mike Evans in the corner of the end zone. Boys, I know this is not the start of the season y'all were hoping for, but what are y'all's thoughts after week 1 for the Dallas Cowboys?
Micah Parsons looks nice.
All right, looking on the positive side. I like
Micah
it.
Parsons looks
Well,
good.
not only Micah Parsons, but I think the Cowboys defense looks pretty solid. I think Noah Brown was pretty decent. Trayvon Diggs was pretty decent. We will lose Jaron Kearse for a little while, but
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys defense is not that bad. Our D line's not horrible. I mean, they only allowed the Buccaneers to score one touchdown. You know, that would have been nice if we could have scored at least one, but you know, it is what it is.
The only team that did not score a touchdown in week 1.
It only goes with the Cowboys' nature to be the only team not to score.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everybody thought they were going to win, too.
I mean, our defense. I
don't know about
that.
I
But
don't know
no one
about that
thought
one.
they were going to get beat 19-13. I guarantee you
yeah,
that.
but then also no one thought that Dak Prescott was going to get injured, too.
I mean, I guess what can you expect when you don't put money into your O line? But
Yeah,
that's just
true.
my opinion, I suppose. But
Yeah.
Dak's not on IR, so take that as you will. Cooper Rush will be leading the squad for now. Buccaneers look good. Tom Brady looks good. Godwin's still kind of struggling to come back. Julio Jones looks like old Julio Jones, which is scary for the league. Mike Evans looks like, I mean, that team just looks the exact same, but now you got another weapon in Julio Jones. And if Chris Godwin can come back, they're legit NFC contender.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on to the final game of week 1. Y'all know I had to talk about it.
Go ahead.
Of
Seattle
course.
Go off.
Seahawks won against the Denver Broncos on Monday night in Lumen Field in Seattle, 17-16. In Russ's return to Seattle, Geno Smith said it best. You know, they wrote me or they wrote us off, but I didn't write back though. Seattle came out with the win. They scored all their points
It's a nice
in
quote.
the first half. Geno Smith, a couple touchdown passes to the tight ends, Colby Parkinson and Will Dissly. Broncos had 2 goal line fumbles in the red zone. We're ultimately not able to get a touchdown in the end zone. But the main thing, down in the game, Russell Wilson, they so often doing, ready to lead a comeback. The mismanagement of the clock by Nathaniel Hackett and the Denver Broncos, I believe, ultimately cost them this game. They had other chances to win it, don't get me wrong, but ultimately Seattle was able to come away with this victory. I'm happy, but what was y'all's reaction watching the Sunday night game?
It was a great game. Geno Smith is a quarterback, I think, kind of like the Tyrod Taylors and the backup quarterbacks in the league that whenever they need to step in, they do their job and they do it well. And then whenever they need to take the seat back, they take the seat back and they wait. It's like you never have to get ready if you stay ready. And Geno Smith has always kind of been that quarterback. You probably know this. How long has Geno been behind Russell in Seattle?
It's been, so technically this is his 4th or 5th year. So it's been a few years since he's been the backup. He obviously was drafted by the New York Jets back in the day. Now he's in Seattle. So
it's awesome to see him get this opportunity and do like not even well with it, really, really good with it. He was dicing up that Denver defense, and we're not talking about like a crappy Denver defense. We're talking about a really good Denver defense.
yeah. So this is his 3rd year with Seattle.
Okay.
So he's been the last couple years behind
That's
us.
a lot of time to
It
learn
is.
the playbook, learn your offense, learn your players, figure out the organization. You know.
Yep.
I mean, Geno Smith looked amazing.
Right.
I think that's really good for Seattle. Very questionable play for the Broncos and very questionable coaching.
Yeah, Seattle looked good. I'm happy for you, brother. Happy for you,
man.
Colin. You know,
Appreciate that.
Seattle got the win. It was your birthday the other day.
Yes,
Man.
yesterday. Yep.
What a weekend for you, brother.
I'm about to say, it's been a good couple days for
It
Cullen.
really has been a
It's
good
been a
couple
good
of days
couple
for
days.
Colin.
Are you a little worried at all that Jamal Adams will probably miss the season?
It is unfortunate. He did suffer a quad injury. More than likely will miss the rest of the season. I mean, recovery for that's like 5 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's
so I wouldn't expect
horrible.
I wouldn't expect to see him back. Listen, Kevin, I'll say this: what I told my brother when I was watching the game. If Seattle doesn't win another game for the rest of the season, this will be a successful season. So we'll take it in stride. Just to wrap up the NFL here, we're going to go quickly. I'm just going to run through all the games, and I'm going to ask both of you what your game of the week is for week 2 of the NFL season. We got Chargers-Chiefs tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football. We got the Patriots taking on the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Panthers traveling to New York to take on the Giants. The New York Jets traveling to Cleveland to take on Jacoby Brissett and the Browns. The Colts traveling to Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Miami going up against Baltimore to take on Lamar and the Ravens. The Bucs and Saints. That should be a good division matchup. In New Orleans, we got the Commanders going up against Detroit. The Seahawks traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. The Atlanta Falcons traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Houston Texans taking on the Denver Broncos. Cardinals taking on Raiders in Las Vegas. Bengals taking on the Cowboys in Dallas. Chicago Bears, taking on the Green Bay Packers. Sunday Night Football. We've got 2 games on Monday night. The Tennessee Titans traveling to Buffalo to take on Josh Allen and the Bills. And then we've got the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Game of the week, Anthony Council, go.
I just want to say I'm very impressed on that whole entire schedule. That's very, very good. I would have to say it's between the Chiefs and the Chargers. I think that's going to be a revenge game. I think it's going to be really, really good. I think all the talk with Patrick Mahomes and Herbert, I think that the Chargers may win it out. And I know it's big, that may be a big shocker just because it's the Chiefs. So, yeah, that's my pick.
Kevin?
It's hard for me to pick just one game. I will say the Chargers Chiefs game is going to be really good. I'm so glad we get that tomorrow. Never can go too long without football. But I think the Patriots Steelers game is going to be a really interesting one. Steelers getting that surprising win, if I might add, against the Bengals. That Steelers defense looking really good. And the Patriots not doing too great after having a lot of really negative reports in the offseason. It's going to be interesting to see how that game goes out. The Jets-Browns, I guess that's always going to be, I won't say good matchup, but an interesting matchup, if you will. But one matchup I think is going to be really interesting that's going to tell a lot about both teams is the Cardinals and the Raiders.
Okay.
The Raiders struggled against the Chargers. The Chargers are good. We're not going to take that away from them. But the Cardinals are supposed to be really good too. And the Chiefs made them, not look very good. Yep. So we'll see how that game goes. Both defenses decently well equipped to take care of each other. So it could be a high score game. It could be a pretty equal game. We'll see what happens.
Yep. And for me, I'm going to be looking at that Monday night matchup, the last game of the week, the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's going to be a good one.
I have both those teams winning their respective divisions this year. So it'll be very interesting to see how Jalen Hurts does against Kirk Cousins. You know, how A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, the matchup of 2 extraordinarily deep wide receivers from week 1. But without any further ado, we've talked a lot of football in the show, over 45 minutes worth here on the Fools and Stools podcast.
We've been waiting a while.
We got to talk some MLB.
Oh, yeah.
2 home run milestones were hit recently. Aaron Judge last night hit home runs 56 and 57, bringing up his total 257 on the year. He is now 4 away from tying Roger Maris, another former Yankee, also a Yankee, former Yankee, AL record, and Albert Pujols passing Alex Rodriguez for 4th all-time on the Major League Baseball home run list at 697. He's now 3 away from getting that elusive 700th home run, something that's only been done by obviously 3 other players in Major League Baseball history. My question to you both is, who is more likely to get the record done first? Albert Pujols getting to 700, or, and then this is if, you can also say if you don't believe they're going to get it, Aaron Judge passing Roger Maris to get to number 62. Anthony, we'll start with you.
Well, before we went on air, you and I, we went through the schedule for the Yankees. We know they play against the Brewers. They're finishing up this series against the Sox, the Red Sox specifically. And I think that I really do believe that Aaron Judge is going to be able to break that record somewhere near the end of the season. If he doesn't do it against our Rangers, speaking of Kevin and I, not you, but
he's on a higher horse right now.
Right, exactly. I think he just has a better chance of breaking that record. He has a better chance of beating it probably by the end of the season, probably a little bit maybe in the middle against Milwaukee. I give him like 1 or 2. I may give him 1 against the Sox again, because I know they play him again another series. But I just think Aaron Judge is going to be able to break that record.
All right, Kevin.
I'll be the optimist. I think both. I think both can achieve each goal.
Which one do you think is going to get?
Okay,
it first?
but that's not the question.
The question
was who's to get it first.
Who's to get it first? Okay.
I mean, they're both going to break the record probably.
Well, that's
So
what I'm
we're
looking
looking-
at.
yeah.
I think we're all on the optimistic, like they're going to break it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're looking at 5 home runs versus 3 home runs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's just
It's a little more complex.
Yeah,
than that,
it's a
but-
little. I mean,
Because I was looking at the schedule and I was like, well, if you look at it, it kind of makes sense a little bit. But
it
that's
was
just
just so sad not to see Pujols get this record. I think Pujols gets it first, but I think Judge is gonna be right behind him. I mean, each record is in its own respect crazy. But one record you didn't touch on was Mike Trout just beat the MLB record for hitting a home run in the most consecutive baseball games.
Yes, that was another record, but I didn't think that would be a consecutive record milestone that's going to be achieved. But yes, shout out to Mike Trout for reaching that record.
one of the greats.
Yes. I mean, Mike Trout, Listen, he's going to put up stats in Los Angeles. We'll know that much. Is he ever going to make the postseason? We'll wait to see.
Yeah.
Right. That's
Probably-
the biggest question of them all.
But no, getting back to Albert Pujols and Aaron Judge. To me, I'm going to go with Aaron Judge to get it first because I don't see they don't play Albert Pujols every day, and apparently he's having, according to Tyler, our baseball insider for the Fools on Stools, he really likes hitting against lefties, and to be honest, you mostly play righties when you're going up against baseball.
Yep.
When you don't even play every day, it's much harder. I do think Albert Pujols gets it. I'm wishing Albert Pujols the best of luck. I am knocking on wood that he does make it before the end of the season so that he can retire and grace. That was me knocking, guys, by the way. That wasn't the door.
Okay.
And then Aaron
knocking
Judge.
on Aaron Judge, breaking the record first.
Oh, and Aaron Judge and Albert Pujols. Just knocking for good luck.
Be good for baseball.
I think Aaron Judge, in his contract year, he's going to break the AL home run record, surpasses Roger Maris. He's going to have a great postseason, regardless of how far the Yankees get or not. And I think he's just going to walk into the Yankees front office and just be like, here's a blank check. Write me however much you have in your vault, and I will sign it. And I'm not expecting a penny less.
I don't think he'll stay with the Yankees. I mean, we can get to this topic another day at another time.
Interesting.
He did say it was either today or yesterday. Someone asked him about a possible, going to the Boston Red Sox.
Oh,
he did not rule it out.
Oh my
He
gosh.
said we'll see where we sit at the end
rival?
of the year.
Could
I
be a
think
ploy.
just about any team who has a bag for Aaron Judge is on the table.
That's fair. That's
Can you
definitely
really see Aaron Judge in a Red Sox uniform?
the thing is.
There's
I've
been
seen-
crazy things.
Listen, sports is where the imagination runs wild.
Yeah.
So
It was hard to get used to Brady in a Bucks uniform.
to be fair, LeBron James. Did we ever think he was going to be with the Lakers?
Yeah.
I mean,
Kinda
look.
saw it coming.
I mean, well, okay.
Where else is he gonna go?
I mean, Anthony knows all, so I forget about this.
He had already changed jerseys by then.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Brady was with the same organization for 20 damn years.
It's very true.
Anyway.
But yeah, moving on now to some other baseball news. The Los Angeles Dodgers
Officially.
become the first team to clinch a playoff spot, routing the San Diego Padres 11-2. Tyler also let me know that their magic number is 6 for clinching a first-round bye in the postseason. Obviously, the top 2 teams in each conference are able to receive their first-round bye before they have to play in the ALDS.
He probably keeps up with that number like days until Christmas.
of course.
Probably does.
Oh, every time I come into class, he lets me know. He lets me know the update, and I love it because that's the sort of passion is the reason that we're all here doing this podcast.
He offered
We
me
love sports.
He offered me a contract to be an official Dodgers fan.
A contract.
He
Wow.
said he's done it with friends in the past.
like the
Like he-
sign.
He
instead
was
of-
a signed contract.
He was like, I'll offer you a contract to be a Dodgers fan. You won't ever receive any hate for it. I was like,
oh boy.
a contract.
interesting.
I mean, look.
That level of commitment. Wow.
Look, the Dodgers, we're not surprised. We said it in the postseason. I've said it multiple times. The Dodgers are probably one of the best teams ever right now. They have all the star power.
Mm-hmm.
They have everybody there. Are we shocked at the first team? No.
No.
It's going to be now the postseason, we'll see what happens. Because sometimes when you have all that star power, sometimes you learn to crumble under the pressure sometimes, but they haven't been crumbling at all.
No.
Well, they're not as strong as they started the season, with some injuries going here and there, but they still look as strong as ever. Like you said, we'll see how they do in the postseason, but I don't think I'm not surprised at all that they're the first team. What I will say is that the uniforms that they all dressed up in, if you haven't gone and saw those on Twitter,
Oh, please do. Instagram, Twitter, social media.
those were awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a tradition unlike any other. That is amazing. Tyler was showing me those yesterday. And
I think I commented on one of them and said that Tyler's gonna make one of them his log paper.
Which one was your favorite?
I'd have to say,
You want me to go first?
yeah, you go first.
Oh, the Sandlot photo. Sandlot's one of my
See,
favorite
Sandlot was
movies.
awesome.
It's hard not to pick the Sandlot one because I was
Yeah.
gonna say it, but Anthony, what about you?
I grew up on Sandlot, so it has to be the Sandlot ones. The Sandlot ones have always been the best.
My guy. Yes, sir. Yeah. No, that one was, yeah. To me, they did it perfectly.
The
Squint.
Great Bambino.
Oh, yeah. Ham Porter, the whole 9.
Top
Everything.
3 movie of all time. Not even in the category of sports, just all time.
Oh, no. For me, it's top 2. With a non-sports movie, Good Will Hunting being the other one.
Nice.
So that one, yeah, I go back and forth on which one's top 1 or 2 for me.
I got you.
But Kevin, do you got one that you're listing? I know Dustin May's one was really good.
That was a nice one.
Mookie and Freddie Freeman's Tiger and Caddy collab.
Ooh,
That was pretty-
that one
yeah,
was
that
a
was
good
a
one
good
too.
one. It was pretty
That was a
good.
good one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to go against Sandlot, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Sandlot.
Well, you let me go first, so I took it. I took the chance while I was
I
there.
mean, they did such a good job with it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, are we ready to move on to a segment that is returning to the Fools on Stools?
Let's do it.
All right. If you have not listened for a while here on the Fools on Stools podcast, we debuted this segment in the summer. It's kind of a great way for us to just get our thoughts out here in a minute, try to concise all of our thoughts here on certain topics, and yeah, just kind of go throughout the world of sports and, just dive into something that we're really passionate about, that we have something to say. I'm going to be the one starting off first. We do get 1 minute, I should mention. We get 1 minute to go off on these topics, and then
I'll do the timer.
the other two co-hosts, my two other co-hosts, or if Kevin's going, me and Anthony, etc. We get to comment on his 1 minute, see where he messed up, what he could have also said, and then just overall talking on the topic. So without any further ado, this is the mixed bag here on the Fools on Stools podcast.
Let me know when you're ready.
My first topic, or the topic that I will be doing, is Brett Favre and the ex-Mississippi governor involved in a welfare scan that was wildly broken out. I think it was yesterday that it came out over a volleyball facility. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. All right, who's got the timer? Who
I
am
got
looking
it.
at?
I got it.
All right.
And it's going to go off, so you'll hear it.
All right, and just count me down and I'll start.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so former Green Bay Packers quarterback and Hall of Famer Brett Favre has been accused of using his special access to former Governor Phil Bryant and other officials in his home state in order to influence roughly $8 million in welfare payments for himself and a volleyball court for the University of Southern Mississippi. Brett Favre had a family member who attended Southern Miss back in the day when this welfare money was taken out. Brett Favre, you're scum for this. Mississippi is I think is the poorest state in the United States. And this is political corruption that is unbelievable. When we talk about the Hall of Fame, Brett Favre has had some other scandalous stories in the past, whether it's addiction, whether it's his off the field issues that he's had. And this is just to add to it. And I want to bring this up because, to be honest, whenever we talk about the NFL greats, the Hall of Famers, Terrell Owens, for example, comes to mind. T.O. never had any of these offseason issues, yet he was kept out of the Hall of Fame. Brett Favre, it didn't seem to matter. Brett Favre, you deserve to be hung out to dry for this. Wow. Okay. In a minute.
It's pretty good.
And for a minute, not too bad. Not too bad. But yeah, just piece of the work, this guy. Although, Kevin, I think you might have me top there with your topic. Are you ready, sir? Anthony,
Yeah.
are you going to clock him down or you want me to?
I can clock him.
Okay.
Just make sure you have the timer going so I know.
Yep. So you count them down, and then
In a minute.
and then Kevin, you just go off, brother.
Give me a 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
So for those who don't know, Robert Sarver, the owner of the Phoenix Suns and the Mercury, I don't actually know the name of that team, but
Phoenix
the
Phoenix Mercury. Yep.
Okay, Phoenix Mercury. Okay, sorry. That was about to start. He's been fined $10 million and he's been suspended a year. I think this has taken way too long to happen. I believe it was, if not really early this year, that he was accused of basically inappropriate behavior in the workplace, making a lot of gross comments. I guess I'll say, I don't want to be too illicit on here. He was racist. He was just, kind of like Cullen said, a piece of work. Was horrible. Why only a year? I don't understand. $10 million, a fine is never enough for being a horrible person. Why only a year? I have a problem. I have a problem with that, as probably as many others do. But yeah, this took way too long, and it's just not justice, in my opinion.
Real piece of work,
was
Mr.
great.
Robert Sarver.
That was great.
I just didn't know what I was allowed to say, if that makes sense.
I get it.
We get it. And no, I think you did a great job covering it, though. So, but last but not least, we've got Anthony, and we're going to end on a high note, as we like to do here on the Fools on Stools podcast. Kevin, if you want to count them down or do the clock on this one. Anthony is going to be talking about the WNBA Finals, breaking that all down between the Las Vegas Aces and the Connecticut Sun. Kevin, if you can count them down whenever you're ready, sir.
Yeah, I'll give you a 3, 2, 1, go. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, all I got to say is Kelsey Plum has joined the 20 and up party, dropping 20 points along with Courtney Gray's 21 and Asia Wilson's 26 points for the Las Vegas Aces, beating the Connecticut Sun 85-71 in Game 2 of the WNBA Finals. honestly, I think that the Aces are going to win this whole thing. I mean, Asia Wilson is the MVP and Defensive Player of the Year as well. You had Greg Popovich in the locker room. You had John Moran with the camera on the court for the Aces. You know, you had South Carolina's own doing the gritty. I mean, they're just looking really, really good. I mean, you know, Asia Wilson with 10 rebounds, 26 points. I mean, the whole entire squad of the Vegas Aces, they look amazing. I think they're going to win their first chip. And, I mean, with the Connecticut Sun, they're doing great. Don't get me wrong. I think they're playing fantastic. But I think this is going to be a dub for your Las Vegas Aces with the Coach of the Year, the MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year. It's gonna be barbecue chicken, baby.
Shout out head coach Becky Hammond.
Oh yeah, Becky Hammond is on fire.
All right, that was the mixed bag here on the Fools on Stools podcast. Boys, do we have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to be just as thrilled / excited to talk football next week. Big things on the way.
Anthony, anything from you?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Well, from my co-host Kevin Walker and Anthony Council, I am Cullen Brown saying thank you so much for tuning into this Fools on Stools podcast, episode 37, boys. We've been killing it.
Yes, sir.
We got Wednesday episodes coming out, recorded every Wednesday, hopefully getting them out soon. Anthony, you got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, because it's Wednesday our way.
Wednesday our way. Yes, sir. From all of us here in the KNTU studio, hopefully you check us out, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're getting back on YouTube soon, so make sure you check us out for that. And as always, grab a stool, be a fool. Peace.